Uh, all right, new video. So, I'm going to talk about Mother's Day today. This is a very intense story. So, this was Mother's Day 2020, which was during COVID. And Mother's Day is in May, March, April, May. So, we couldn't be open for dine in. So, we're only open for takeout like we had been for the past 3 months before that. So we're doing a couple things. We did this donation thing where we every week we cooked maybe 100 aluminum foil pans to for this company, for this organization that would donate the food, and in each pan it would be food for like four people. So if we made 100, that would be food for 400. So Mother's Day Mother's Day weekend was when this thing happened. So we had to do 200 foil pans on Saturday. Mother's Day was on Sunday, and our thing for Mother's Day was this platter, basically, that all you had to do was throw it in the oven for 15 minutes and then put all the garnishes and stuff on it, and then there was some cold dishes with it. So it was meant to feed 6 people, and it was $200. So six $200, and we sold 100 of them. It was like 99 or 100 or 101. It was somewhere like really really close to 100. So food for 600 for that, and then food for 400 from the foil pans. There was also something else we had to do that weekend. I don't quite remember what it was, but basically we had food in. We had to prepare and uh, produce 1,000 people's amount of food in one weekend. So obviously, with that much, we were prepping for a week or two in advance, and there was so much work to get done that I even posted it on Instagram for anyone who wanted to come help us. They could come help us, and some chefs did because they had nothing better to do. It was COVID, so a lot of restaurants were shut down. So the day before, on Friday, one of our main fridges broke down. And as you can imagine, our restaurant is only meant to serve dine in, maybe at most, maybe 100 people. So we had food for 1,000. That was like every fridge was packed to the brim. And one of the fridges broke down that day. So it was really rushed, but I called up a restaurant equipment store, and then 2 hours later they showed up with a brand new fridge. And then like there's already like 10 people working in the kitchen, and we had to all move out of the way to take that fridge out, and then all the stuff that was in that fridge we had to swap out with the other fridges to put the high priority stuff in the fridge, and then we left the lower priority stuff out on the counter until that fridge got put in, and then we put everything in, but it still had to cool down. So that was the thing that happened the day before the pickup, and then that was 2 days before Mother's Day. But this story is about Mother's Day. But just to give you some background, we had food for we had to cook for 1,000 people in one weekend, and one of the fridges broke down, and we're preparing for it for 2 weeks. So Mother's Day, 100 platters, six per platter. Everyone prepaid with credit cards already, and we took credit card numbers and orders, and people were ordering like 1 or 2 or 3 pans and giving it to people. It was a whole thing, but it was very very organized because uh, the day before I charged all the cards, so all they would have to do is come in and say my name is blah blah blah, and then I say, oh, you're over here you go, bye. So Mother's Day came. Well, we'll start with the day before. So everyone's been preparing for about a week at this point, and I asked every day. I was asking like, "Are you guys on schedule? Are you guys on schedule? Are you guys good?" Because this was like my first time taking my hands off the wheel to let them do it themselves. to see if they were capable of me not telling them what to do. And I explained to them like, okay, this is what you have to do. This is this. And it was like, okay, you got it. Yes, we got it. Okay, you got it. So I trusted that they could pull it off. So we're prepping right up to the night before, maybe like 8 9 p.m. And then I asked them, "Are you guys ready for tomorrow?" And then the chef de cuisine said, "Yeah, we're ready." And then I said, "How much stuff is left to do?" And then they showed me the list of stuff to do. And then I was like, "You don't want to weren't you supposed to finish this stuff today?" And then he said, "No, it's fine. We're gonna come in early tomorrow morning and get it all done." And I said, "What time are you guys coming in?" And they said like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And keep in mind, this is they were expected to get it done without me helping them. So I said, okay, if you're confident that you can get it done and whatever, then that's fine. Then the next day comes. I come in at maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, and I see everyone's working, and I just like looking around because the first pickup is at 3 o'clock, and basically from 3 o'clock to 5:30, every half an hour, we had a pickup of maybe 10 to 15 platters up until five. So yeah, 10 to 15 every half an hour. So that's one platter every 2 minutes. And it was stuff like fried chicken, scallops, beef shank, potato. It was all our normal dishes. So it wasn't dumbed down in any way. It was our exact same dishes that we serve in the restaurant. We just built it for the people to warm at home. So it was 11 o'clock that I came in, and I looked around. I was like, okay. I asked them again. I was constantly asking, are you guys going to be on time? And then they kept saying, yes, yes, yes. And it just, I was like, okay. So I went in the front. I organized myself because I was going to be the cashier in the front. And then everyone else was going to be in the kitchen, and they would feed me the food for me to give to the customers. And um, time kept getting closer. It was probably like 12 or 1 o'clock, and I looked around in the kitchen, and everyone was working fast, but based on how much time was left and how much stuff was still raw, I asked them like I kept asking them to a certain point, like, are you guys gonna be okay? But then at a certain point, I knew they were behind, and I wasn't asking them anymore. I was like, I started yelling at people like, why isn't this done yet? You guys have 2 hours left, and all of the chicken is raw. All 200 pounds of chicken is raw. All the scallops, 800 scallops are unseared. Potatoes aren't seared. Uh, Beef shanks were probably warm already, I remember, because we had them in a sous vide. But basically, a lot of stuff wasn't done. And then that's when I was like, okay, I can't listen to you guys anymore. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You guys are way behind schedule. So that's when I jumped in. So I told one of the line cooks who was about to start searing scallops. He had 2 hours until we're supposed to send out the first platter. So that was 1 o'clock. So I asked him, can you sear these 800 scallops in 2 hours? Tell me the truth. Don't lie to me. And then he was like, no, chef. And then I said, okay, go in the back, get me the non-stick pans, because I hate searing scallops with heavy cast iron and stuff, because I mean, it's good for searing, but it's not good for continuous fast searing, because you have to scrub the pan and all that stuff. But non-stick pans, you just keep going, and you can keep the pan hot. That's the main thing. You can sear the scallops, dump it out, give it a quick wipe, and then you don't have to scrub it, because when you scrub it, you cool down the pan, and then you have to reheat it from cold again. So I told him, get the stuff, and I said, get this, get this, get this, and then I just I was like, I only had a 6 range burner, so I had a 6 range burner, and I had 6 non-stick 12 inch saute pans, and the movement was scoop a bunch of scallops into a pie tin, season, toss it, season, and just I didn't season both sides. I just seasoned the pan, put the scallops in, and then season the top, and then I swished them around to pick up the extra salt. And then from there, the pan's hot, put oil in, and then slide the whole pie tin into there. And then it was just doing all 6 in rotation. So it was there was always heat being applied to all the pans. It would be pie tin, dump, shake, turn around, refill, pie tin in the next one, dump, shake, refill. And I just kept going. So once I did the 6th one, the first pan was it was ready to be flipped. So I would do a flick, and it would flip maybe 80% of the scallops, and I would take a spoon and I would flick over the rest of them. And then I would do that to the next pan, and I would do that to the next pan. I would do all 6. And then while I was doing that, I was setting up the pie tins. I had 3 pie tins, and I was setting up the next tray. And then once the second side seared, I had a perforated hotel pan that I just dumped all the scallops into, and it would be like grab, dump, put it back on the heat. Grab, dump, put back on the heat. Grab, dump, back on the heat. I'll do all 6, and then basically I cooked maybe 12 scallop in each pan. So 12 times 6, 72. So I cooked 72 scallops every round. So I only had to do like 10, 11 rounds of scallops. So I'd do that, and one round would take maybe 6, 5 minutes. The first one took longer because the pans were cold, but the ones after that were faster. So it was probably like 5 or 6 minutes per round. But dump the scallop, oil, 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 dump, 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 dump. Do the same thing. And once you get into a certain flow, you can just crank things out really fast because you're consistent. So I finished searing all 800 scallops, because it was 8 per tray, in 45 minutes. And then that was when I was like, yeah, I just seared 800 scallops in 45 minutes. When I asked you if you could do it in 2 hours, and you said no. Anyways, I finished that. And keep in mind, this whole time I had a mean face on, because I just yelled at, I didn't yell. I said, you guys are really fucking behind right now. I'm going to be pissed off later if you guys don't catch the fuck up. And yeah, everyone was like head down working, because they knew how behind they were once I called it out, even though I kept asking them, are you guys on time? Are you guys on time? Yeah, 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 yeah. There's a certain line where you have to swallow your pride and say, we're behind. I need help. We need help, whatever. Because the most important thing is getting the job done at the end of the day, not your pride of saying like, I can handle it, and that kind of stuff. And that applies to like normal service and whatever. But I finished the scallops, and I asked them, are you guys good? And then based on looking around, I was like, okay, it looks realistic that you should be able to finish in time, because everything was already getting worked. But anyways, 3 o'clock comes, and people started showing up. I unlocked the front door. It's really hot that day. It was probably like, it's humid and probably like 85 to 95 degrees outside. It was really sunny, 3 p.m., very hot. I had the doors wide open because there's so many people coming in and out with trays. So I didn't want them to have to open the door. So I just left the doors open. So people started coming at 3 o'clock, and then I went in the kitchen, and the trays weren't ready yet. There was none ready. So So they knew. I was like, hey, there's people here now, hurry up. So they knew that, and so they would scramble to push out the first 5 or 10, and then uh yeah, it, they're playing behind from behind the whole day. There was never any one time that somebody came in and I could just hand them the tray, which was on time. And keep in mind, the kitchen knew the whole schedule of, okay, there's 8 at this time, there's 10 at this time, there's 12 at this time. There's certain amounts that they had to produce. So yeah, it was just like, hey, how long on it? And then basically, we're always 15 to half an hour behind. And the heavy part came in the middle at around 4 o'clock because that's when most people were coming to pick up their stuff. And at this point, I already like checked everyone in. I was like, okay, you, what's your name? Whatever, whatever, whatever. Okay, have a seat. We'll have it ready. And it was probably like 4 o'clock or 4:15, 4:30. I had a line out the door of maybe 20 people that were standing in the sun. And then I had maybe 10 people that were already in the restaurant waiting for their food because I told them, I checked them in and they're sitting. So there was probably a total of 30 to 40 people waiting for their food, ranging from the people at the back of the line probably just showed up like maybe 10 minutes to the front of the line sitting probably 45 minutes already. And everyone's just like angry looking and crossing their arms and like they're like, what the fuck is going on? Why are they so behind? And that kind of stuff. And that's when I went in the back. And then this was the first time that I went like, I blasted them really, really hard because all these people were waiting. And then I went in the back to check like how long until the next round. And I went in the back and I saw the pass. There was probably like 20 foil pans. So that was how much they were going to produce in that round. So there was 20 foil pans. They're all empty. All 20 pans were empty. And then there's about 40 people in the front getting all angry and pissy because they had to wait, which is justified. And it doesn't help that it was hot. So that's when I got really pissed off at the kitchen because they're so behind. And so I punched the metal table and it made a really, really loud like slamming sound. And then I started yelling at the whole kitchen really, really loud, saying, you guys are so fucking behind right now. I don't even remember what I said. You guys are so fucking behind right now. There's blah 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 people waiting in the front. It's really fucking bad. Hurry the fuck up. Yeah, I don't even remember, but that was like the first time that I just went like blah 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 blah, and yeah, everyone was, I would say, scared at that point because I've never yelled that much, that loud, or that aggressively. And yeah, after that, I went back to the front, and then because I yelled so loud from the kitchen, even though the front was maybe 30 feet away, I'm sure all the people in the dining room and outside heard me. But when I went back, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so hot and it's taking so long." But then when I finished yelling and I went back to the front and I tried to have like a straight face, like I didn't just blast everyone for like 30 seconds at the top of my lungs. I just went back out like, "Sorry about the wait," and then you could just see everyone's like, "Oh no no no, take your time, it's okay, it's okay." They went from like to no 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 no, take all the time you need. uh yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much that whole story. We were behind, but once it just took more time and we got more behind, but eventually there was no more orders to put out. Even And then we got caught up at the end, and it was like, but yeah, that was the most angry I've ever been, and the most I've yelled, and the most aggressively I've yelled at my staff. And I hope I don't have to do that again, because I thought I did enough due diligence that they could pull it off, but didn't work. So hopefully, well, I know they learned their lesson not to bite off more than they can chew again. But that's Mother's Day 2020. That's the one day that we've made the most money in one day ever. But that's because we're working for like two weeks prepping for that one day. So we're basically making less than $1,000, probably less than $500 for the 2 weeks before that, and then we made $27,000 that day because we were selling them for 200, and then after tips and tax, it was 27,000. So that's more than 20% tip. But yeah, that's it. Oh, and then after hearing people's stories about Mother's Day at other places, it made us not look so bad, because some places they were waiting for 2 or 3 hours, and then like Olive Garden, I think was one of them. They would wait 2 or 3 hours, and then they would get to the front of the line and be like, "Sorry, we're out of food." It was like, what the fuck? How do you run out of food when they had it pre-ordered? And then like people waiting at like bakeries and stuff to get like pies and cakes and stuff, like, oh, we're out, or oh, that waits 3 4 hours, and that kind of, yeah. I think everyone got blindsided that Mother's Day. So yeah, that's Mother's Day at EXO in 2020. That was a really long story.